We are live. Good evening. I'd like to call the order of the February Planning and Economic Development meeting. I will need, first item on the agenda is I need a first and a second, a motion, first and second for the approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is privilege of the floor. Do we have anybody here tonight who wants to speak on the privilege of the floor? Seeing none, we will move to the first resolution. Will there be anybody speaking on the first resolution after I read it?
Yep.
Mr. James. The resolution is, it's to confirm appointment of the Southern Tier West Regional Planning and Economic Development Board. Please state your name and.
James Feldman from the County Executive's Office. Yep, so we have an appointment for the Southern Tier West Regional Planning and Development Board. This is to fill our final vacancy, and Mayor Kim Eklund of Jamestown has been recommended by County Executive Wendell and has agreed to serve on the board.
That's great.
Great.
Let's see, I'm on the board right now currently. And
Yes.
absolutely thoroughly enjoy those meetings. They're very, very informative, so
Mhm.
she'll be a great addition to the board.
Definitely,
Thank you, James.
no problem.
Second resolution on the agenda is authorizing.
You gonna vote on that first one?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, we need to vote on, the resolution. All those in favor of the resolution, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Resolution is carried. Thank you, Mr. Shagner.
You're welcome. That's why I'm here.
Okay, second resolution is authorizing the purchase of the CCIDA bonds. Anyone speaking when there it comes, right? Hey, how are you? Good. If you please introduce yourselves and state your names.
Yeah, Mark Geis, Deputy County Executive for Economic Development and CEO of the IDA.
Steve Abdallah, retired county attorney, here as a volunteer today at the request of Mark Geis and Patrick Slagle.
Mostly retired.
Mostly
I
retired.
don't believe that.
Rich Dixon, I'm the Chief Financial Officer for the CCIDA.
So what do you gentlemen have for us?
So, as you're well aware, because we presented to the PED a couple of months ago about the Ripley shovel-ready site, we've been working for about 5 years now on assembling the parcels and doing all the due diligence and the pre-engineering to pull together about 146 acre site. And of course, the county has funding for this project through the ARPA and through some capital projects, and the IDA has money, and we got some grants. We were approved for a $5.25 million Fast New York grant through Empire State Development, fairly new program to help us. However, that funding is payable at the conclusion of the project. So we've got to sort of bridge that. And, you know, the primary method or the best method of doing that is for the county to purchase an IDA bond. I don't know a lot about that, and that's why I have our experts here, Steve Abdallah and Rich, that can sort of talk through that. But you know, that's a method that's been used in the past for other projects related to the IDA and economic development. So that's the method we're trying to do here. Do you want to talk about it a little, Steve?
Sure. So as Mark stated, the county does have authority under general municipal law to purchase IDA bonds, and that tool has been used many times in the past over the decades for lots of different purposes. But in this case, it is really a cash flow assistance to the IDA because of the nature of these grants from the state, and sometimes the county has gotten grants from the state similar to this, where they won't pay you until after the project is complete. They might pay you a couple installments along the way, but you're really put in the position of having to front the cash. And so the IDA's choice is either to have the county assist as a partner agency or go to a bank, a commercial bank. And so in this case, what's being proposed would be that the county would act as the bank, if you will, but would receive an interest rate equivalent to the county's normal investment returns. So in that regard, it would not be a change for the county in terms of what they would be earning on this money. And I think it has been run by the finance director, Kitty Crow. She could not be here tonight, probably will be at Audit and Control in the morning, but she is satisfied and okay with this use of county cash that's on hand to help the IDA. And I think Rich can speak to it. They would not be, because they don't want to pay any more interest than they have to, they will only seek draws from the county as they need the money for the project. So it's not as if a $5.25 million check will be written if this is passed by the legislature. They will just draw on it as needed and pay back, as funds are received from the state.
Right, and we're prepared to pay the interest. We've included that. We have the wherewithal to do that. I wouldn't recommend to Mark that we borrow the money unless we're absolutely 100% sure at the IDA that we'll get the money and can reimburse the county. So, number one, rest assured that if we do borrow the money, that it will be forthcoming as soon as we spend it and get reimbursed. We are also, with the help of Nate Aldridge, trying to talk to the state about maybe doing some in tranches. I spoke with Steve Hyde at Genesee County, who has the Stamp industrial park up there, and they were able to do some draws from the state. So we're gonna work that if we can. That will be helpful.
We, actually, on that issue real quick, we had a conversation with the state today, Lori Ebenator, and we talked to her about doing it in tranches, and which would really help us out. And she's gonna go and run it up the flagpole and see if that's possible.
But I think doing it this way as well, it shows that we have a good partnership with the county. I think that'll be important as we approach other funders, that we're in this together. You're committed, we're committed, and the risk is very minimal on this one, so,
That was my question.
yeah,
What's
very minimal.
the risk? You said it's very minimal on the risk?
Yeah,
What's the
I
minimal?
wouldn't let Mark borrow the money or us borrow the money unless I knew we were gonna get it back, yeah.
Right.
When you say minimal, like what could potentially happen?
Tornado, Albany,
Pandemic.
so, yeah, who knows? I mean, who knows, but I don't really see any risk. I mean, the state, they've awarded the grant, if we meet the requirements of it, ESD is very good about that. They really want to do this project. They think this is a very important project for them in western New York and in Chautauqua County, so they are very excited about it as well. So I really think the minimum.
This was ranked as
Risk is
one of their
minimal.
top sites in the region,
Yeah.
and that's why they put the money towards it, because it's in a perfect location right off the Shortman Road exit there. And they love the site, and that's why they are funding it.
Is there any kind of timeline involved with this project, or what we need to do, or you need to do?
Well, we're probably looking at 2.5 to 3 years until the completion of the project. And we're gonna wait as long as we can before we spend this money, so
Sure.
that we're not, if we spend it, if it was the first money we spent, and we can't get reimbursed until the end of the project, then we're paying all that interest over those 3 years. So we wanna wait as long as we can to spend this money, so that it's money in and then we get reimbursed and pay it back.
That's a wise
So we're paying
decision.
as little on interest as possible.
Very wise decision. I think, Fred, you had a question?
A series of,
I'm sorry, Jim.
so, just Ripley being one of my favorite places.
Mhm.
Just exactly where on Shortman Road, the thruway is this? Is this the old Sinden property part, or is it?
No, the other side, so it's behind Regal. So if you went off the thruway down Shortman going south, and Regal's on your left, you go just past the Regal trucking
Okay.
and their parking lot, that's where the entry road's gonna go in. And the entry road's gonna curve back, and I've got pictures of it here.
The northeast corner of 20 and
Yes, yep.
That's where it is. And so this $5.25 million is prepping the site, in terms of what we physically spending the money?
It's about a 16 to 17 million dollar project, all said and done. And that includes the purchase of the land from the 4 different parcel owners, the running of about 3,000 feet of road, stubbing in the water and the sewer running along that road, extending the electric to the site, and all the due diligence that needs to be done as well.
So that's 16 million.
Yep, 16 to 17, yep.
And then private sector comes in and builds on that base.
Correct. We get it, the whole idea is you get it as close to being shovel-ready as possible, so they're not waiting for 2 years, or, this takes a long time to do this, and that's why we've got 4 or 5 years invested.
So, I mean, in Westfield, we had an interesting experience with the Welch's building, as you know,
Mhm.
the fellow who in the end bought the building
Mhm.
was doing a project down in Alfred. He did not meet his deadlines in Alfred. The dormitory authority kiboshed him,
Mhm.
just about bankrupted him, and tossed that project in the cocked hat for a while.
I've talked to
So-
Sam many times about that, yep.
So Mike, back to risk in terms of, Albany, as you started to mention, can be cranky, and that is the risk. Is it, and then the second question is, what are these interest rates and interest rate of returns? Is that bond insurable, so that in fact the county's not taking a risk on it, but the insurance company is taking the default risk on that bond?
Steve.
Yeah. I don't know, I honestly don't know if there would be an insurance market for this type of bond.
I think we would certainly put up the property as a mortgage. We've already acquired almost $2 million worth of property in phase one of the project. We spent almost $2.4 million to this point between engineering studies, digging for arrowheads and all kinds of things, as you might imagine we have to do there, looking for.
So the county would be the mortgagee and.
Yeah, that, I think that would be reasonable. We could offer that as the mortgage up.
Okay,
And,
so that's a risk amelioration. And then,
That's a great question.
Watching Mr. Bierman. So when you said the bank rate, if you borrowed it at the bank, would be higher than the county's cost of funds, or I kind of went, really?
yes, there's no question that the bank would charge us more. Well, the county is somewhat limited to their investments, so they can't play the stock market, they can't do a lot of things, so their rate of return that the county gets
Is CDs or?
is yes, and you've had some excellent finance people at the county over the years, no question about that, and they've done really well for you. But we would like to pay a rate that's consummate with what you guys, the county, would consider a good rate. And it was still gonna be better than the bank, as Jamie will tell you. And it will also be cheaper for both of us to do this investment than it would be to do others, so.
So that gets.
It's beneficial for both.
Sure.
Mhm.
Okay, well, if the county is in fact limited to
Right.
what it can invest in, and the bank isn't, then the bank ought to have a lower cost of capital, the county has got a less pretty alternative.
So I think it'll be a good deal for the county and a good deal for us.
And the last question for the county is, where's the county drawing these $5 million in funds from? Where does that come from?
That's a good question.
Comes from cash, right, on hand, it's not,
Yeah, I
Part of the
got
reserve.
some bonds, so why did get a lot of sales tax
Yep.
before?
yep.
Is it in the reserve, is it funds we have to go get?
See, that would-
It's in the fund balance.
So we have enough in the fund balance?
Yes,
To be comfortable with?
yes. Kitty reviewed this request and reviewed the fund balance and the investments, and she was very comfortable with our ability to service this request.
All right, well, that's what I had, and if in fact the county has mortgage security in this thing to mitigate the risk.
that was my question. John, you have a
Yeah,
question?
Fred, that's a great question. So this basically is a line of credit. I get a little, I guess I quite don't understand why it's called an IDA bond when IDA, separate entity from Chautauqua County government, is going to have a line of credit, and the collateral will be however many acres of land will be named as additional insured, and there's a line of credit, and if Rich needs money, he's gonna call up Kitty and send you guys a check, and the timing begins at that point. So it sounds just like a
Well, Steve can answer the technicality, but versus a term note
Gotcha.
or another, it's
That's
called
fine.
an IDA bond, right, Steve? That's,
I'm good.
Municipalities can engage in, they can only engage in bonds and bans.
Oh, okay, that's
Which
why.
I think is a little bit
Yeah.
more of the terminology than it is, I mean, I think it acts and looks exactly like a line of credit or a term loan.
Yeah.
But due to municipal law, I mean, you're the attorney, but is that,
Yes, I mean, it has bond at the top of the page, but yes, functionally, the terms within that bond will be similar to a line of credit.
Thank you.
so I have a question about the interest. Will it be covered by the proceeds of the grant, or what's the vehicle to cover the interest expense?
The IDA is prepared to pay the interest on that out of their funds, so.
And you'll recoup that from the sale of the property or other?
Or it's an investment on us, we're committed to making that, we think that's worthwhile, is, you know, we get our revenue from fees, that's a great thing to spend it on, is to develop the industrial park.
Yep.
You know, we're doing similar things to Mason and Park and some other places where we don't have a dedicated source or grant from it, we're using our own funds to do some of that, so we would use our own money to do this.
I think it's a worthwhile project, and I think
Yeah,
we're headed in the right direction in the county to do what we need to do to make the shovel ready for people to move in and to build, so. Do we have any other questions by the committee?
In terms of the purposes, I mean, it's not, it's getting it as ready as it can without foreclosing their options.
Correct.
So it could be a big retail center, it could be a manufacturing.
Right.
Well, we're targeting, Fred, logistics, warehousing, distribution, and light manufacturing.
Okay.
Because of its location, because of the electrical load that will be there, water and sewer capacity, those are the things that make the most sense. Now, if somebody else came along and wanted to do something different, we're certainly open to the concept.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, as we all know, New York is kind of in a tough place for tax-wise at the state level versus
Yeah.
other states, like manufacturing and that kind of thing. It's just not the first state you would do that.
It's always a challenge, but we're out there fighting every day to make it happen.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
only get 180 degrees in the circle of market because the lake blocks the
Yeah.
other 180 degrees.
Exactly.
Now, will you
There's a
be-
big demand for warehousing and distribution in this region, though.
No, we're short.
Yeah,
I'm in the market.
yep.
Now, will you be actively soliciting or looking for, I guess, businesses, or, and I guess, how do you advertise for that or want to draw people into the county for that?
We get requests all the time for sites,
Okay.
all the time, and we just can't, we don't have them. So
So we have
it's
them.
constant, it's weekly.
Really? That's fantastic.
Yep.
That's
And we will put out a big marketing push. You know, we'll have site selectors that we'll be working with. We'll use social media,
Okay.
we have our website, maybe trade shows. You know, there's a lot of different angles on
Just
how
not
we
vehicles
market
to get
this.
it done then. Good.
Yep.
That's fantastic. Well, I think it's great. Do we have any questions, committee? Any further questions? Mr. Shagan?
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to make an observation that the knowledge, experience, and dedication of the members of this committee that they bring to bear on a subject like this is just so heartwarming, that the taxpayers of Chautauqua County can look at this committee and the work that they're doing and their expertise that they bring to bear on these questions with great, great pride. And my heart is overflowing with it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So with that being said, all those in favor? of
Aye.
this resolution?
I'm,
We have one and two more. Yeah, great. It's carried.
Perfect.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
thank you.
Later on, I'll lobby you for a manufacturer's outlet.
I thought of that, yeah.
We're always between two big cities, and there's none between.
Thanks, Mark.
Never know.
Thanks, Steve. Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see
It
you.
is good to
Good
see
seeing you. Thank you.
Okay. Good job. All right, third resolution. Thank you. Third resolution reads, to amend the 2023 budget for the year-end reconciliations, Department of Planning and Development. Thank you, please. Please state your name.
Nate Aldrich, Economic Development Coordinator. So this is pretty straightforward. Within our department, we have 3 sub-departments in which we allocate our staff salaries. In sub-department 6420, we went over budget slightly in our .1 and .8 accounts. And the opposite within our 8020 planning sub-department, we were under budget, really just a function of timing and how we allocated a vacant position and the timing of that hire, and then we had another staff person on leave. So we're kind of self-balancing within our department, and we've also made the correction in 2024 for the allocations themselves.
Does anybody on the committee
My
have any
only
questions?
question, Mr. Chair, is you're fully staffed or adequately staffed?
We are fully staffed. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
The only department.
Okay.
We do have a staff person going on leave this summer, and we'll get through that, but we're fully staffed right now.
Yep, that's good. Thanks for the work you do. Certainly appreciate it. Does anyone have any more questions on what we need to do? Yes? Or Nate, do you have more?
That's it?
That's it. Seeing no questions, all those in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you, Nate. Thanks, Mark. Okay, we are on to resolution number 4, and it is to amend the 2024 budget to implement Lake Erie sediment assessments.
So this is a pretty straightforward housekeeping resolution. The legislature last year appropriated funds to enable our department to contract with Soil and Water to connect sedimentation studies on the 3 harbors on Lake Erie. That project started last year but was not finished, and so all this does is allocate that remaining balance into the 2024 budget.
Thank you.
Question.
Yes.
So what was the 34,000 spent on? Do we have a report? Did we learn anything? What's up with that?
So Dave McCoy and I are kind of tag teaming this with Soil and Water. I'm talking about the resolution because I manage the 3% program for where this is funded, but Dave is managing the contract. Dave would have better knowledge on where things are at, but that $30,000 that was spent was a first payment, and the contract has several reports and deliverables associated with the second and third payment that we'll be tracking before more funds are paid out.
Dave, could you hear that?
I did.
Okay.
What, so we got right now for 33,000, we got nothing?
Wait, hold
Well,
on.
they have started the project. It's in process. Yep.
There are 3 separate agreements with an engineering consulting firm, Fulker Projects, that Southern Water is engaged with. They're at various stages in the data gathering. They're not yet to the synthesis part of the work itself, but they have plenty of budget left and time. This was originally envisioned as being a 2-year project. It just so happens to transcend 2 budget years, and that's why we're here.
All right, so this is just kind of correcting 23, putting whatever it is, the 100,000 back, but then there's budget for it in 24.
It's simply carrying over the unspent funds from 23 to 24. Yep.
It's already an improved project. And on Fred's behalf, Fred, planning and economic development, Mark, Nate, Dave, they can give us updates. We can request updates on project status, where it is, what is the scope, start, finish, in an update, whenever we request.
Just think it's fair to ask.
All right,
That's a
and this,
fair.
we
Yeah.
were all down in Barcelona the other day, and this fits in with that $7 million federal grant project, or is it totally independent?
This, I assume this would be
Does-
totally
Hey,
independent, but I'll let
Dave,
the
does
experts
this
answer.
project at all, does this project sort of relate to the Schumer announcement about sediment control? Are they connected in any way?
Same like.
Yeah.
You know, Lake
There you go.
Erie is just a monster, and, it's just got unlimited energy and
Sure.
unlimited amounts of sediment. And our harbors are designed the way harbors are always designed. They're designed to be strong against prevailing winds,
Right.
which mostly come out of the west. But these days, we get these nor'easters, and they're coming from a different direction, and they're causing the sediment and the waves to come from a different direction. They're wreaking havoc in Dunkirk Harbor, but also our other harbors. Barcelona Harbor with 7.5 million that was announced, if you will.
Mhm.
It's in the bill. It's not ours yet, but it's
Okay.
in the bill.
Okay.
The breakwater on the west side is just functionally obsolete. Doesn't handle the high lake levels and doesn't handle the energy of the storms that we get these days. So it costs between $1 million and $2 million to dredge Barcelona Harbor out. That's just operation and maintenance that the Corps is supposed to provide to us when it's needed. Doesn't make an awful lot of sense to keep doing that if the breakwater is not functioning the way it
Right.
should. So part of Schumer's announcement and Langward's announcement was they're gonna invest in some design to improve that, so that we'll get more time between our dredging intervals.
Are we dredging every year right now at this point?
Pardon?
Are we dredging every year? Or are we, is there,
We probably could. Barcelona's supposed to be dredged every 5 to 7 years.
Okay.
Dunkirk, I think, is 3.
all right.
Cat Creek Harbor was originally supposed to be on a 7-year interval. Cat Creek Harbor's never been dredged since it was built, so they completely deferred that maintenance. Until we started working, really with Nexus Government Relations and did more advocacy work at the
Mhm.
federal level. We just weren't getting those federal dollars. And now we're getting the stuff that, you know, is really due us, because we're a long ways from Washington. We're on
Sure.
on the red end of a blue state, and we just have to be lucky. The stars are aligned at this point with our elected
Well
officials to get what they can for us.
That's a good thing.
Thank you.
It is good. Thank you. Thank you, David, for that explanation. Fred, was that answer your question, sir? Fred? Do we have any other questions or discussion in committee? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Gary, thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Nate. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks-
David.
Thank
Thanks for
Appreciate
what
it.
you do.
Okay, resolution number 5 is to amend the 2024 budget to implement Walnut Creek stabilization. If you can please announce who you are, sir.
Yeah. Actually, these last two resolutions are two peas in a pod. They're both the same. They're occupancy tax regular projects. They just ran out of year before they ran out of budget.
Mm-hmm.
They're contained in 2023. They need to be rolled over in 2024 so we can finish them.
Okay.
Mr. Sheriff, may I ask, Dave, Stock Lake Marina, are these two locations, just refresh me where those are located?
The Chautauqua Marine is on Mud Creek, scenic Mud Creek, just south of Mayville.
Down here, maybe, okay, gotcha.
Down
That's
below
what I
that.
was thinking, okay.
And I gotta tell you, that's turned into a really quite a nice project because we're looking for the marina owners. And they've enlisted BOCES, bring kids over to train them and show some of these things. Soil and Water's working with them. Chautauqua Watershed Conservancy is working with them. And honestly, the owner of the marina has become quite a good friend and is participating in the review of the in-lake grant program grants that we're going through right now. So
I've heard that. That's fantastic.
it's a good thing.
It's a great thing, yeah.
And the other project's in Silver Creek, up on Walnut,
Walnut, yeah.
which Silver Creek gets beat up quite a bit.
Yeah, we do.
And they need some help, and they weren't quite able to get to this in 2023, so gonna give them another shot at it in 2024.
I certainly appreciate that living in Silver Creek and right next to the creek. So,
David, any shared services involved with this, county equipment, town, village equipment, helping with installation and labor on any of these projects? It's just all contracted stuff.
I'm sorry, I have
Are you gonna be utilizing any shared services with the county or any of the municipalities?
Oh, yeah.
That's, I figured. Thank you.
Yeah, that may be an option to make sure this one gets implemented the way it needs to be. couple of years now, you know, inflation's taking a big bite of the pie. So trying to get it in as best we can is, you know, our rule of thumb. We happen to be working with, Eco Strategies, Andy Johnson.
That's great.
Yeah.
He's proven to be quite an asset.
That's great.
Coming across the private sector and, does some pro bono work, and his the quality of his work is excellent.
Good.
So, we're good to have him.
Good, fantastic. Again, appreciate what you do, how you do it. It's fun.
That's good.
Yeah. All right, great. Do we have any other questions for Mr. McCoy on Walnut?
Nope.
Waterways are important to the county and a good
Absolutely.
investment.
Well,
Tricky, but.
all those in favor of this resolution?
Aye.
Thank you. And last resolution on the agenda tonight is to amend the 2024 budget to complete Chautauqua Lake Marina LLC project. Is that the very same?
You said that.
The very same thing? All right. All those in favor of the last resolution?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried. Okay, we are at that point of the agenda where we're at other. Do we have any other discussion items or anything we need to bring up or discuss this time? Shagnon, anything?
Nope.
Committee? With nothing being said, I'd be looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make
So,
a motion?
I second.
Carried. Motion, meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Where the heck was I? We have to,
Good work, committee. You get the gold star.
We'll start today, huh?
Gold star for this month.